Hello everybody. I'm going to talk today about awakening. I kind of recoil a little bit against the word awakening. It sounds a little bit familiar, a little bit final. It sounds a little bit terminal. And also it sounds a little bit superior. Ho ho, I am awake. Are you awake? So what is awakening? To me at least. Awakening is understanding yourself, permitting your thoughts, accepting as you are, accepting that the story that you thought you were is just an element of you, a sort of a painted veil of you. That the story that you find when you start to become awake is just another story. That we have biases that we can discover consciously, but that there are probably many, many other biases, other layers that are so deeply held inside of us that it'll take a great deal of meditation to discover, let's say. That's why I say there is no real end to awakening. It's a voyage of discovery. It's a voyage that starts with some pretty loud revelations. Because when you question your reality, it is a wild thing. And then you start to understand yourself in wild ways. And the world becomes extraordinary, it becomes amazing, everything becomes questionable. Then you kind of let yourself be. And that feels tremendously relieving and releasing. Then you want to tell the world about it and start singing from the rooftops. You start walking down high streets with a look of utter bliss, pointing your nose to the sky. Then you kind of go quiet. I mean, who knows if what I think is awakening is truly awakening? Who knows? Maybe I've just peeled off the first layer of the onion and stuck another layer of onion on top. Maybe I've replaced one story with another story. I think I've reached the point where the story no longer matters. The story no longer draws me in inexorably. What I'm doing whilst I'm here, whilst I'm in this video, whilst I'm talking to you, whilst I'm avoiding the flies, whilst I'm trying to stay out of the sunshine, I'm trying to clear all of the tubes inside of myself. It's an opening of the heart, an opening of the soul, an opening of the imagination, an opening of the consciousness, an opening of the gut. An embracing of everything and an embracing of one thing. It's accepting my stories of stories. When you learn what you think you were, when you lift the veil on that, it allows you to question your core concepts of literally everything. It's a little bit like going behind the screen in the cinema, going up to the projection room of the cinema. And you know, I don't know if you've seen this story about the people the first time they saw the film of the train rushing towards them as it arrives into the station, and everybody dives under their seats or runs out the back of the cinema. Okay. We don't do this these days, because once you've understood that there is a projection room at the back, that there used to be a piece of, you know, clear film that was being 60 times a second or 30 times a second, and light was being projected through, and the picture comes on the screen, and the picture is changing so quickly that we can't tell that there's a gap between the pictures, even though there is a gap between the pictures. Once you've experienced that new understanding, the mind expanded can't close back. It's a little bit similar with awakening. It's like I've gone in the projection room, seen the machinery. That's not to say I've seen who made the machinery. I've not seen where the film came from. No. But I've got back in and seen that it appears to be a process. See, the thing is, what comes of it is a releasing of the ego, a releasing of the need to be right, a releasing of distinction between you and other, between I and they, between me and it. Everything kind of becomes one. So the other side to awakening is that once you've understood yourself, or come to terms with yourself and the stories that you're telling, you can then understand what's around you. You can then understand what other people are doing, the rest of the world is doing. You can see yourself in that context, and you stop pushing against the world and you start embracing and integrating into the world. And so the sense of awakening becomes one of harmonizing, of being, of awestruck, beautiful unity with all things, because you can look at other people through the way that you've seen yourself and understand them and permit them to be, and forgive them and forgive you. You can look at all of this. It's all part of the same one. It all comes from permitting what is to be, rather than pushing against it. You don't dissolve. You don't lose your sense of identity. If anything, you grow your sense of identity. Things are more it's kind of strange. They're both more solid and less solid. All becomes beauty. And there's no need to put a name to it. That's why it was hard to do this video. Because you come to a sort of a singularity, you come to an infinite understanding, and when there is no point at the end, there's no direction, it's kind of harder to describe, because everything is just doing what everything is doing. In every yin there is a yang, and with every yang there is a yin. Within every light there is dark, and with every dark there is light. and all is. It just is. And there's no it. It's all love, but there's no it. And there's no thing to love. Maybe awakening is just that idea that there's nothing to push against, and that kindness always wins.